Doing that blue magic, bro. I know niggas on that I stand by it, I guarantee it.
Blue magic.
That's what you want, bro.
Cardiologist Dr. Scott Davis, thanks for being here with us this morning. So push-up, explain this for us. How does this work?
Drop give me 20, right? So, interesting study. So the smart people at Harvard did a study. They looked at a group of firefighters in the state of Indiana. And so they had 1,100 men, okay, that they studied over a 10-year period. And the average age was about 40 years old, so it wasn't the 25-year-old caliber firefighter guys. I mean, it had a good, broad, selection of men. And they followed them over like I said, a 10-year period. And they found that the ability to do push-ups had a direct correlation in their cardiovascular risk. In that, if you're able to do over 40 push-ups.
Blue magic, bro. When you step in and you sell this and you telling people that this is CMOS gel, Dr. Sabi approved, you fucking up the brand. What are you talking about? It's copyright infringement. This is the Chondrus crispus, the only one in North America. When you present people this is copyright infringement. This is hair grease. God, the words you use, I don't like the words you use. They're disrespectful. Like the words you use after they even comprehend with, like it's disrespectful. I just call it red sea moss. I want that red sea moss. Y'all want red sea moss? Come get y'all some red sea moss. Listen, I don't give a fuck. You call it blue dog. Okay? As long as you don't call it blue magic.
Doing that blue magic, bro. I know niggas on that I stand by it, I guarantee it.
Blue magic.
That's what you want, bro.
For a long time, African-centered scholars and academics have pressurized Egyptian antiquities to allow for the testing of skin pigmentation. This can be done via the measurement of the concentration of melanin to ascertain the exact skin tone of mummified individuals. Understandably, Afrocentric anthropologists have always been confident in the knowledge that ancient Egyptians will cluster among the same racial stock as modern Africans. Esteemed historian and physicist Dr. Cheikh Anta Diop developed a simple melanin dosage test that would be able to return the exact living complexion from any mummy based on a minuscule sample of the epidermis. What's important to note here is that melanin concentration is responsible for skin pigmentation. The more melanocytes present in skin, the darker an individual will be. Diop himself stated, although the epidermis is the main site of the melanin, the melanocytes penetrating the derm at the boundary between it and the epidermis, even where the latter has mostly been destroyed by the embalming materials, show a melanin level which is non-existent in the white-skinned races. In the case of the mummies sampled by Diop, in spite of some significant melanin degradation, they still possessed a concentration of melanocytes well within the dark-skinned ranges, normal for black Africans, but considerably beyond the accessible range for Eurasian peoples. Regarding the origin of his samples, Diop continues, the samples I myself analyzed were taken in the physical anthropology laboratory of the Musée de l'Homme in Paris off the mummies from the Marietta excavations in Egypt. For 2 years past, I have been vainly begging the curator of the Cairo Museum for similar samples to analyze. No more than a few square millimeters of skin would be required to mount a specimen. Naturally, his attempts to advance this test have faced staunch resistance from the gatekeepers of Egyptology, who only benefit from the lack of transparency in a shameless attempt to perpetuate the myth of racial ambiguity. This allows them to make estimations and promote reconstructions that are illogically and politically based on the current ethnically divergent population of Egypt, as opposed to their actual complexion based on a consistent and measurable variable that is easily acquired. However, more recently, during an excavation headed by the German Institute for Archaeology in Cairo in the year 2000, researchers sought to carry out anthropological and paleopathological analysis of the human remains from 3 tombs of the nobles of the necropolis of Thebes West. An additional study was conducted by Makota and Vermeeren, published in 2005. The study sought to test the quality of methods of rehydration for mummified tissue. In the study, samples were taken from a pool of 273 mummies dated from the New Kingdom. Samples were taken from each organ of each of the mummies. During analysis of the skin samples, biologists noted that skin sections showed particularly good tissue preservation. Although much of the epidermis had already separated from the dermis, the remaining epidermis often was preserved well. The basal epithelial cells were packed with melanin as expected for specimens of Negroid origin. In essence, the epidermis was consistent with black or Negroid African groups based on the density of the melanin. This was the only conclusive assumption made alluding to ethnicity during the study, since its purpose was to compare methods of rehydration. This objective conclusion gives a silent nod to the tireless efforts of Diop and his protégés, who always knew that given the opportunity to test, the ancient Egyptians would be proven to be amongst the same ethnic stock as their African brethren. Thank you for joining me on The King's Monologue.
Purple phase not only regrows beta cells, But a part of the mechanism it uses to regrow beta cells is melanogenesis. Yes, in the world where your melanin, your pigment system has been attacked, you now have an equalizer. Purple phase, AmericanHealer.website. What are you waiting for? Go to AmericanHealer.website now and get you some.
Go to Amazon now. Grab these, throw these in your cart, grab everything. In fact, just grab everything that has my name on it from Amazon. Much appreciated. We really need the help. Thank you. And don't forget to send in your cash apps.
My name is Minister EnQi. I am the naturopathic doctor and the spokesman for the Melanin Verse Diabetes Ministry. Every time you go to the supermarket without the electrician grocery shopping list, it's like putting a loaded gun to your head. Stop playing Russian roulette with your life. Help us make America great again. Learn how to save time. Learn how to save money with the electrician grocery shopping list on Amazon now. Go to Amazon now. The life you save may be your own. Right? Inflammaging. And I know we only went over that a few times. We'll iterate the basics of what that word means, because in most spell checks, that word still comes up like incorrect spelling. Inflammaging is still considered to be a made-up word, even though it's in all kinds of scientific journals around the world right now. So, but we like to take things to the root. So in that space, in that pocket, right, I have no problem with, us talking about the aura. I always enjoy a good excuse to go into this book, right? I always enjoy a good excuse to. So I guess for now, what we should be doing is, obviously you see the title, Melanin, Inflammaging, and the Aura. So I guess we spent an hour or 2 hours on the title, that'd be a good intro, right? What is it that the aura, melanin, and inflammation have in common, or inflammaging, not inflammation, but inflammaging have in common, right? And why is aura in a title of a video that has two scientific terms in it? Melanin is a scientific term. Inflammaging is a brand new scientific term. And aura is considered to be pseudoscience or mythological. It's not even considered to be a real thing by many people, right? So all of those, I think we should address. Actually, you know what? Let's jump right to the most improbable aspect of the introduction, right? Let's get to the most improbable aspect of the introduction, which is, why is aura in the title with two scientific terms? Now, if you know where you at, right? If you familiar, you know that I do make some unique associations, borderline eccentric patterns, but everything is precisely laid out, and we always have scientific data to verify whatever claim, right, our research has led us to, regardless to how far from the current from the current accepted, line of thought may be. So let's start maybe with that. So with that being said, we're going to talk about two different things. All right. Put the book down. Inflammaging book. So in both of these books, right, these are my skintology books. You can add the kitchen chemistry book. You can add the kitchen chemistry book, and it'll be like a full 3-book. Yeah, you can add the kitchen chemistry book, and it'll make more sense, the evolution, to see how the conversation was generated. But in both of these books, we talk about my style of writing by now, so the progression. So we talk about a couple of nuanced pieces of science that are very important for the community as a whole, right? And one of them is obviously that your skin functions as a leaf in many ways. Your skin functions as a leaf in many ways in terms of your pigment, right? Your skin functions as very similar to a leaf on a tree. Much more complicated though. Much more complicated, because it's not photosynthesis being performed, it is photovoltaism that's being performed.
You probably know that plants get their energy from the sun through their leaves in a process called photosynthesis. We humans don't have our own leaves, but maybe we can get energy from the sun in a different way. Electrical energy, that is. Could there be some kind of electrical leaf? A solar cell gathers light from the sun and generates electricity, just as a leaf generates food for a plant. Let's find out how. The sun emits energy in the form of waves. These waves can range in length from short ultraviolet waves through the rainbow of the visible spectrum to long infrared waves. When the sun is shining, these waves move towards the Earth and hit the surface of the solar cells. Let's take a closer look. The active part of a solar cell is a wafer made of semiconductive material, typically silicon. A semiconductor is a type of material that normally doesn't conduct electricity well, but it can be made more conductive under certain conditions. The semiconductor part of the solar cell has 3 layers. The thin top layer contains silicon and a very tiny amount of an element such as phosphorus that has more electrons than silicon. This gives the top layer an excess of electrons that are free to move and make the material more conductive. The top layer is also called negative type or N-type, as it favors the collection and transport of electrons. The thin bottom layer contains both silicon and an element such as boron that has fewer electrons than silicon. This gives the bottom layer fewer electrons that are free to move, therefore making the material less conductive for electrons. A missing electron can be described as an effective positive charge. Therefore, the bottom layer is called positive type or P-type, as it preferentially favors the collection and transport of these positive charges, also dubbed holes. The thicker middle layer has only slightly fewer electrons, making it marginally p-type. Thin metal lines, typically made of silver, are printed on the top n-type layer, and the bottom p-type layer is in contact with an aluminum plate. When light waves hit the top surface of the silicon solar cell, only light with wavelengths from a specific window of the solar spectrum, 350 to 1140 nanometers, are absorbed into the middle layer of the solar cell. This range of wavelengths includes the visible spectrum. Ultraviolet wavelengths are so short they stop at the surface, and infrared wavelengths are so long they can't be absorbed and pass right through the cell or are reflected back. The light wave knocks an electron off a silicon atom, setting the electron loose and leaving an area of positive charge, a hole, where the electron used to be. The loose electron then moves towards the top and reaches the top n-type layer, which readily accepts electrons. Similarly, the loose hole moves towards the bottom and reaches the bottom p-type layer, which readily accepts holes. This continues as long as sunlight shines on the solar cell. Now that the electrons and the holes have been separated, connecting a wire between the top and the bottom metal electrodes provides a pathway for the electrons to move towards the holes. Flow of electrons is electrical current. One solar cell produces several watts of power.
But your skin functions much like a leaf. And what that means specifically is a leaf has a variety of different pigments that are in that leaf. Chlorophyll gets all the credit, right? We see the green on top. The yellows, the reds, we never get to see those until the fall time. And we're taught backwards in school. We're taught in school that the leaves turn colors, that the leaf at one point is green, and then when fall comes, it starts getting cold, and so the green turns into yellow and red, right? So from that moment on, we're crippled in terms of how our bodies will even work. Because just that seemingly innocent story to children gives them a different impression of how pigment works together, right? So in a leaf, what's actually happening is the red pigments, the yellow pigments, if there's any blues, any other colors, they're always present. Hey, Chase, do me a favor and close my door. They're ever present. They're always there. Right? There you go. They're always there. Right? They're always there. The reds, the yellows, the blues, whatever, they're always there. But because the green, the chlorophyll, is the controller of the process that plants dominate, which is photosynthesis, right? That is a large part of the purpose of plants, photosynthesis. The green is on top, and all the other pigments work at the same time as the green. So the yellows, the reds, in fact, all of the different greens, because there's not just one chlorophyll, there's a variety of chlorophylls. So in the books, we go through all of the different varieties of chlorophylls. We go through the different pigments, and we kind of, just talk about how they work together, right? So that you get an idea of understanding, more importantly, how your skin works, right? Your skin, you have melanin. Now, depending on your complexion, you are, dark brown, black, purple, right? Red bone, brown skin, or maybe you're a light-skinned person, you know, with freckles, or maybe you have what we consider to be white skin, going from our most full complexion Puerto Rican to like our most translucent, almost gray-eyed, white-eyed, red-haired, complexion type of person, right? But that's still going to be some form of pheomelanin. Pheomelanin to eumelanin, right? The darker complexions, eumelanin. The lighter complexions, pheomelanin. That's going to be the primary pigment. That's going to be the primary pigment. Inside that paradigm, right? Inside that paradigm.
Peace to the family. This is Abdul Ali, candidate for U.S. House District 12 here in Charlotte, North Carolina. Let's just be real, folks. The Democrats have destroyed our major cities. Their policies have made us less safe. They've given us less economic opportunity, and they've provided less educational opportunities for our children. And that's why I'm running for Congress, because I know what it takes to improve these issues. I've got great working relationships already in D.C. I've spent the last 10 years of my life building my political resume so that one of us, somebody who thinks like we do, could get into D.C. and make a difference. I want you to visit aliforcongress.com to find out more about my campaign. The Democrats have already done enough, and now they're putting illegal aliens in front of people like you and me, folks whose answer.
My name is Minister EnQi. I am the naturopathic doctor and the spokesman for the Melanin Verse Diabetes Ministry. Every time you go to the supermarket without the electrician grocery shopping list, it's like putting a loaded gun to your head. Stop playing Russian roulette with your life. Help us make America great again. Learn how to save time. Learn how to save money with the electrician grocery shopping list on Amazon now. Go to Amazon now. The life you save may be your own.
We getting seed money. We need seed money. That's that seed money. We need that.
Introduction. These books are...
Introduction? Yeah, but introduction to what? What is this? You just introductioning up to people. All right, so this is the first book of the Generational Health series. Right? This is the first book. It's called what? What's the title of this book?
Adam. These books are to be read as a family to create discussions, group learning, group sharing. This is how we build generational health, learning and teaching as a family. Chemistry.
Hold up. You can't listen. You can't just fly through it, okay? It's going to be a lot of people in the YouTube world, like 100 people. They're all going to be watching, right? You can't just go fast. You got to relax. So do you want to say peace or anything to the people out there? Tell them to go get the books.
Go get my dad's books. They're pretty good.
That PDF. Listen, Jerry, everything is a timely, everything is in a timely fashion, family. When things come out, you gotta get them while you gotta support them while they're there. Right now, everything is at Amazon. Right now, everything is on Amazon. Right now, everything is on Amazon. So what I would suggest is, if you're out of the loop, this would be a great space to jump back in the loop, you can start with these books right here, start with this conversation right here. And from there, just follow the instruction in the book, and it'll have you, move around to some familiar pockets as you're going through the book. It's going to reference other books, and you can use that. It's like a breadcrumb trail to move through. Or you could just start at the beginning. Melanin vs. Diabetes, book 1. Yeah, you could start from the beginning. Melanin vs. Diabetes, book 1. Right? So, the same way leaves in the trees, the chlorophyll is dependent on the reds, the yellows, etc., the other pigments, right? The same way the green depends on the other pigments. In your body, melanin functions the exact same way. In your body, in your skin, melanin functions the exact same way. Your melanin is dependent on, I'm about to say the yellows, the reds. Yeah. All right. So there's no yellows and reds per se, right? Per se. But what you have is called opsins, right? Opsins are the secondary and tertiary pigments of the skin, right? So circling back around to the first major question in this video, what is aura doing with melanin and inflammaging, 2 scientific terms? Well, aura and our understanding of aura may actually be a scientific term. Aura may actually be a scientific term, right? So we're going to review some things about melanin, real science. We're going to review some things about inflammaging, real science. And we're going to discuss in a comparative analysis type of sense, right? Some things that we may or may not have heard about the aura, and see if there's a scientific route or throughway that takes us from a much more ancient concept to today's most modern concepts of health and longevity, etc. Yo, shout out Mike Carter. Everybody definitely give Mike Carter a B-Day warming. Everybody give Mike Carter a B-Day warming, right? KVO. Isn't the aura because of melanin? So yes and no. Yes and no. Not exactly, but absolutely at the same time. So I could say not exactly, and I could also say absolutely at the same time. So that's why we kind of got to dig in, because like I said, there's 2 new pieces of information that are in these books that correspond directly to your question. The first is that, like I said, there's other pigments in the skin besides melanin that do the majority of the work. Listen to what I'm saying. There's other pigments in your skin that do majority of the work besides melanin, right? Those are called opsins. Those are called opsins. Those other pigments that are in your skin are called opsins. Rhodopsin, melanopsin, photopsin. You have different types of opsins throughout your body, You have neuropsin, right? You have different type of opsins in your body. These are all different types of pigments. So you have melanin, right? You have melanin, which is the main pigment. That's numero uno. That's the head honcho. In nature, the closest analogy I could give you is a leaf. A leaf has green on the outside when the sun is in its peak. And then under the green, you have the reds, the yellows, the oranges, etc., all working, doing the heavy lifting, which is why you have incomplete photosynthesis when the green is gone, right? Because the green is you know, the lead processor of information, of light, and of photonic and electric information. The green is there synthesizing that information, but the other pigments do a big job. Same thing in the skin. In the skin, you have melanin, but we have to go beyond that in order to really understand the connection to mental health and to longevity with just simple what we see in the mirror every day. Right? Skin health related to mental health, related to metabolic health, related to everything across the board. And that's primarily been driven by melanin versus diabetes research the past, X amount of years, which has led into this new space where inflammaging is now being a word that's coined and thrown around to basically address the body of work that we have created, right? We have created this body of work under the name of Melanin versus Diabetes Research. So people can go to Amazon right now and get the books. Melanin versus Diabetes, book 1, book 2, book 3, book 4, right? And get some of the foundational concepts that are associated with what we've been working on and building over the years. In that pocket, right, science has linked inflammaging, which is the skin health, right, which primarily we know rests on how well your melanocytes are able to keep your skin healthy, right? How well your melanocytes are able to keep your skin healthy. But now we know there's a new player in town, which are opsins. And the opsins function in the skin the same way as you would have those different colors and pigments function in the leaf. So that's where that analogy comes from, right? In the leaf, you have the green, and underneath the green, you have all of the other colors of the spectrum, different pigments functioning for photosynthesis. In a human, you have melanin, and then under that, you have the different opsins functioning so that your melanin can be as photovoltaic as possible. So in the plants, the other pigments are helping the chlorophyll to produce or to be as efficient with photosynthesis as possible. In a human, the other pigments are functioning to keep melanin as efficient as possible in terms of converting light into electricity. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. The hormone-based one, I'm not sure of your question. Oh, melanin concentrating hormone. Is that what you're talking about? Melanin concentrate. Okay, so hold on. So melanin and melanin concentrating hormone are totally different things. Okay? Melanin concentrating hormone is produced in your brain. right? Melanin concentrating hormone and melanin stimulating hormone are produced in your brain. Those are produced in your brain to regulate the melanin activity throughout the body.
And that name is Neil, man. I knew this day would come, brother. Once you had sent me that 36-page, well-written treatise, I knew the drugs had worn off. I had to be as critical as possible so that maybe you would leave all this alone. See, we could leave all of that in the past, man. All I want to know is, does 1 times 1 equal 2, man? You see, you just couldn't leave well enough alone, could you, Terrence? You know you can't just go around rewriting mathematics, right? It's not for us to do, Terrence. I have to get rid of you once and for all. You ain't gonna kill me, man. Oh, I am going to. Because there's only room for one black genius at a time, Terrence. And that black genius is gonna be...